We work hard, we play hard. We are gamerpreneurs. Individuals who have chosen to give up the security of a 9 to 5 in favor of getting to set our own hours, of doing the work that we want to do, and we refuse to give up the hobby that we grew up with in order to, quote, grow up. We have learned countless laws of life and sales from the games that we play, and we excel in everything we do. We see the wonder and glory in every interaction. We fit in awkwardly with the rest of the world because they don't understand our quirkiness, and we wear it as a badge of pride. We are focused, clear, and know what we want. We are gamerpreneurs, and we are taking over the world. Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the Gamerpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today I have a very special guest with us. I have Tim Bergmann with F2K. Howdy, Tim. How's it going today?
Hey, Bradford. It's going fine. It's going fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's a beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. How about yourself?
It's like a decently sunny day over here in Germany, which is coming to an end, so it's also fine.
All right. So, Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I used to be a professional player in the esports scene, and at some point made it my profession completely, and also became like a business owner. So in 2015, me and my partner, we founded a gaming team, which is F2K, as you can see here, and we've been growing ever since. So that's like the short intro about myself.
Wonderful. All right. Well, that's a lot to unpack right there. But first, I start every interview with a single question, and it's kind of a fun question just to get us started. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Tim?
Probably like a 7.5.
Okay. Why would you say that?
I think I'm like most people say that I'm pretty good with people and I'm pretty normal, but like under the surface, there's a lot of weirdness hidden, right?
I can see it. You got your collection behind you, so you're obviously a true gamer.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about you as a gamer first before we kind of get into the business stuff. What first led you to play video games? When did you start?
I actually started playing video games with my dad when I was like very young. So I was literally sitting on his lap and like playing like Football Manager and stuff like that in Germany. So that's how it all started. And it has been my hobby ever since. I can't remember like a time where it wasn't a part of my life. So in one way or the other, right? And then obviously back then I started out with like different games, and when I grew older and you play with friends, like we used to play Counter-Strike and stuff, and then we actually made a Counter-Strike team, traveled around the country and stuff. It was like actually pretty fun times.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little more, because you said you were a professional gamer at some point.
Yes, so like with Counter-Strike, that wasn't really professional. It was like the very early 2000s. So it was like a very early different landscape. And then, I guess you can classify it as gaming. Then I started playing Magic a lot, like Magic the Gathering, the card game.
Sure.
So I was one of the best players in Europe in the old vintage format, traveled around Europe and made some money with it and stuff. But yeah, like when I entered college, I basically dropped that. And then later on in my life, I made a return when Blizzard released Hearthstone, like the first digital card game. And I thought to myself, I was like, okay, so you always love video games, you play Counter-Strike, you're very good at those, you're also very good at card games, you love those as well. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. So yeah, like I looked a bit more into it, like for like 10 minutes, and then I decided to just like drop everything I was doing and go full blown into it.
Is that all it took? Is 10 minutes? I mean, I know they're all like Warcraft characters and whatnot, but is that it?
Yeah, no, I've never played Warcraft, like with Warcraft, but no, before I was studying to become a teacher, and there were certain things that didn't make me happy, which were like more like on like a macro level, in terms of like how things are structured in the country and overall how everything is going, and I just didn't, I wasn't feeling fulfilled. So if I just like thought to myself, is this really what you want to do for the rest of your life? If you have a chance to do this now, and I said like, nope, like in 10 minutes, and then I was like, yep, that's it, right?
So it was essentially love at first sight then.
Yeah, I think it's a quality to make decisions fast and stick with them. So yeah, I mean, like I was literally, I was already teaching and I was done with my final courses. Literally, almost would have been like I think like a couple of months, and I just like from that day, I've never been to university ever since.
Hey,
Like,
that's fantastic.
yes,
I mean, and you're happy now, right?
yes,
And that's the only thing that matters. I mean, as long as you're
yeah,
doing what you
exactly.
love. So, can you kind of maybe walk us through kind of how you've seen the game develop then? Because it sounds like you were there right at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I was there like in like the closed beta, and I think the game was doing really well. Like it even got better after release. Like there were a lot of like the scene was booming. I still remember like the first tournaments I played when I was like playing and live in person at tournaments. There were like 200,000 plus people watching. It was actually insane, right? I mean, like if someone would have told you in like 2005 that there would be like esports tournaments and there would be like more than 100,000 people watching, that people would be like, yeah, what are you talking about, right?
Oh, absolutely. I
And
mean, I had a stack of Magic the Gathering cards as well, and you never told anybody about it unless you also knew that they played.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it was pretty insane. So yeah, I mean, like obviously then the game at some point it took some turns that I didn't like. I mean, like not say the game, but maybe the publisher of the game took certain turns that were I wasn't a fan of.
Okay.
Yeah, so the game was. I think it digressed over time. It was never as good anymore as it was at release.
Okay. Do you think it's going to get better? I mean, are there any updates coming out you're looking forward to?
I mean, like I haven't played in Hearthstone in a year, I guess.
Okay. What do you play
Um,
now then, if anything?
like if I play now, like right now, like if I have time, I play some of like the new card game released by Riot Games, like Legends of Runeterra.
Okay.
That's
That's
pretty
fairly
interesting
new,
to me
isn't
right
it?
now.
That just came out not too
Yeah,
long ago.
like they just went into open beta like 1 or 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Now, before we get into the business, I want to know what's your favorite game of all time?
Huh. Favorite game of all times? Probably Knights of the Old Republic. The
Ooh, the first
first,
one?
the first one, yes.
Okay. That was pretty good. Big shocker right there in the middle of the story, right?
Let's not spoil it, but like I mean, that was like so well written characters, such a well written. Like I mean, for me, like a game, if it's like actually really, really, really good, like it changes you and it makes you do things you normally think you wouldn't do, and that's like what the game kind of did to me. So that's like always like a thing that like sticks to my brain. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the writing was just spot on, like you said. Everything HK said, like, was quotable. Like everything that droid said.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So let's talk about your professional background. Can you kind of just walk me through it?
Yeah. I mean, professionally, as I said, like I started to become a teacher. English, chemistry, and history. That was the thing. But then, like, yeah, like then became a pro player, and from there on, like, became a business owner, and like learned all the things that we learned about that because there's like so much stuff that you don't know about when you get into it, and that you have to learn over time. So, yeah, like
Okay.
starting at like accounting, taxes, like how do you model revenue, like how do you um receive signal, and with signal I mean like certain things like the market telling you, okay, you're doing something that makes sense, and then amplify that again over and over again, and then of course like the overall side of like RFX is super lot to learn.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about F2K. What is it?
I mean, F2K is an esports gaming entertainment organization. So we are not strictly esports, like we are more focused around the entertainment around esports. So in terms of like content, live content, so like live streaming on Twitch, um, and like YouTube content production, doing custom activations with our players, and then of course also having players to play tournaments.
Okay. And how did you get it started? Like you just one day started an organization?
Actually, like the way it happened was that like a friend of mine who he always said like at some point we should start our own team, and I always said like so much stuff going on, right? And then I as a pro player, I had like very very bad experiences with the existing team structure, like a lot of talks that were very very bad, and experiences that were also bad. So at some point I debated to like because I always like to do like organize stuff and manage stuff. So I wanted to pitch to like Hearthstone as like a team sport to like different existing teams.
Okay.
And I was actually sitting there and I was like thinking, I was like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you just talk to Jesse and just do it on your own? And so I talked to him. I made my first ever investment pitch, I guess, to him. It took 2 minutes and 13 seconds, and he said, "Let's do it." So
wonderful. All right.
yes.
So how's it been going? Like, can you kind of walk us through? You pitched him 2 minutes 13 seconds, and then what?
Yeah, I mean, then I basically talked to all my contacts. We found like another, like at that point I was still playing professionally, right? So like we found like another John who was a partner, and he basically became our general manager. Jesse became more in like on like the back end doing things like setting up the company, etc., etc. And like at first we were just strictly a Hearthstone team, right? So that's basically how F2K started. Was very like no streaming, like no content, no other games. It was just strictly Hearthstone because we just all loved the game, right? That's how it started. And then obviously since it's a business and things were going, then I realized, I mean, this is not really producing any revenue, right? This is not working. So what is the problem? And I realized the problem is like we need people who are like connected on a different level with the game and with gaming in general. So like very early, within the first 4 or 5 months of the company, I decided we need to pick up live streamers. Because those people, they produce content, they have ad space available that we can monetize and that we can work with. So like we started picking up the first streamers at the end of 2015, and then then we basically got signal because we realized, okay, this is actually working. So we picked up more streamers and like people who still play the game in tournaments, but also streamed, and then it just grew and grew and grew. And at some point we said like, okay, so that's great, but this is just Hearthstone. So like, I mean, there are other things we can do. So we were like, okay, so I mean, what naturally makes sense is to go into like other card games, right? Because that's like the first thing that makes sense. So at that point in time, there was like Witcher is now very much talked about. So like the Witcher's franchise also has like their card game, which is called Gwent. So we decided, okay, I mean, let's try that, right? So like we picked up some streamers from that game. At the same time, also like an Overwatch player, and we just like over time slowly, organically transformed into like a multi-gaming organization.
Okay. Now, speaking more about revenue, if you can, how are you making money?
I mean, like of course, as you can imagine, like if I meet like my fiance's relatives and stuff, I have to explain what I do, right?
Right.
So like what I always tell them is, if you have ad space somewhere, and it doesn't matter where you have ad space, it can be like a billboard in front of a bar, it can be a TV that runs ads in between. Wherever you have ad space, wherever you have eyeballs, you can monetize that ad space. It's that simple. So obviously, like us right now being one of the top 5 biggest teams on Twitch, like we have a lot of ad space, we have a lot of like minutes that are watched by viewers, and we basically sell that ad space. I mean, that's basically how it works. It's basically the same way that like a sports club makes money. So like they sell their ad space, and they sell ad space in multiple ways. Like one, they actually sell the games that they're producing to like TV broadcasters, and they have ad space like on their jerseys or like on the sidelines, right? Mm-hmm. Or like and then do custom activations off the field. So that's basically how you make money.
Okay, so let me kind of just speak it out so I understand. So you go to a streamer and you say, hey, do you want to be part of F2K Games? And if they say yes, you would then put them into your network. And with all these people in your network, you then go out to advertisers and say, would you like to advertise through our network? We can put ad space up on these various streamers for them.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, yes. And then of course, like you support them when they go to tournaments, you help them grow and develop their overall careers. So like, I mean, basically like a coach or like a team helps sports players, yes.
Okay. And you do some sort of revenue sharing with the streamers you work with?
No, but basically we pay the streamers, and in return we get certain access to the ad space.
Okay,
like
fantastic.
Team sponsorships. Yes.
Wonderful. Now that brings up a great point. I had another guest. I don't know if I've put that video live yet, but he was discussing how to value yourself as a streamer. About how much is a streamer worth? Like, is it based on their viewership? Is it based on their followers, subscribers? What?
I mean, like it's based on multiple things. So what I see a lot is also there's a lot of valuation being done based on followership, which I'm not a huge fan of personally, because I mean, if I have 1 million followers on Twitch, but if I streamed and if I go live, but only 20 people watch me, I mean, that doesn't help anyone, does it? And like, of course, like you, like as a streamer, you should always like look for like your watch time, your impressions and your reach, and also like your social footprint. Those things are very important.
Okay. Discussing your business, or is it basically just been you guys and you built it up from the ground up? Did you get investors? How does that work?
No, I mean we basically just built it from the ground up over the last 5 years.
Fantastic, man. Hardcore. Way to go.
Yeah, I mean, like hardcore is like, I mean, there were like so many times where it was very, very hard, but like, I mean, we always pulled through, and we have like a great team over here now. I mean, like look, we started with like six people, right? So like there were like four players, myself and John back then. But like, I mean, now, I mean, the overall people we have F2K, we have like 60 full-time streamers who are on the main team. We have 15 staff people, and we have like 3,000 affiliate streamers who are also like part of the brand. So like it's grown quite a bit.
Wonderful. When you built this company, were you at all prepared to be able to handle staff?
I mean, let's be real. Like, I mean, back when we founded it, there was this like in Counter-Strike. I mean, that's like one game I always loved because I always played it as a kid, and there was this huge thing that like ninjas in pajamas, those people, like they were the first. They had a gaming house, and they were earning like 2K a month. And they could actually live off playing Counter-Strike, and that's like completely insane, right?
Yeah.
So like that was the situation back when we started. Like, I mean, the market like 100x since then. I guess we got lucky. I mean, like it's almost impossible to found a team these days anymore. It's just you're too late. So I think we had the perfect timing in founding the company. But we like, I mean, obviously we expected that it might grow, but like, I mean, I didn't expect a Twitch streamer to be like featured in a Super Bowl ad like 5 years ago.
Right. Okay. So kind of pulling back from the business itself, we'll talk about you a little more.
Mm-hmm.
What unique skills do you think you have that have been able to make you successful?
Like I honestly don't think it's about skill set. Obviously, like I worked a lot, like a lot, right? So like for like multiple years, I pulled 100-hour plus work weeks. And unique skills. I mean, like I honestly think that I'm good with people, but like being good with people is also not necessarily a skill. It's also just having core values that you always have. So like if you're always honest, if you don't bullshit people, I think that like benefits you in the long run.
Okay.
Especially, I mean, like esports has this kind of stigma around it that there's a lot of shady stuff going on, and that stigma is completely true. So I think if you try to do good business and you stick by your word and you treat people fairly over time, that's a very important thing to have. And like I honestly classify it as a skill because there's so much temptation to not do it.
So much temptation to not do what?
To not do the good thing. I mean, you could obviously do easy stuff. Like you like some like if there's a streamer that doesn't know his worth, I could pick him up for nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't, like I mean, like let's say we are in like a job interview, and I said like, hey, we would like you for the team, and he goes like, okay, sure. And I ask him like, so what do you expect to earn? And he goes like, I don't know, like $50, right? And I say like, I mean, you should be asking for at least like 500. And then pick up that streamer, and like over time, that person's gonna like just imagine picking up $50, and like 3 months later, like another team offers him like 500, 1,000. He goes like, well, why I'm earning $50, right? Like what's happening here? But if you treat people fairly from the start, I mean, those people, they also stick around, and they spread good word about your team, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. No, that makes perfect sense. Honesty, integrity, goodwill. It's the fundamentals of business, and if you don't have them, you don't really have a business.
So. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you were just building. I mean, look at the whole situation that happened with FaZe Clan and Tfue. Like, they had a great player. They put him into some kind of weird contract. and then instead, like when he blew up and he became like almost worth half as much as their business. Like the thing they did, instead of being like, hey, I know we signed this contract back when you were a small streamer. We want to re-amend that, and we want to make it more fair to you. We also would like to make you a partner in the company if you want to, like give him some equity and stuff. Instead of doing that, they basically stuck to the contract and milked him dry for every little cent they could, right?
Jeez.
According to sources. I'm not sure if it's true. Like I wasn't there. I didn't see everything. But like, I mean, that's like, and that comes back to you, you know?
Yes, absolutely. All right. So you've been at this, what, 5 years, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, in esports for 6.
Okay. So 6
6.5
years. If you could go back and you could talk to, little Tim and say, this is what you need to do in order to make this go, 10 times faster, what would you say?
Like I would have told myself back then that I should have stayed and be a content creator, because I actually had good viewership at like very early, like 6 years ago. So I think like having like a huge megaphone to do your business and to develop yourself is very important.
Oh, absolutely.
So like, I mean, like honestly believe that if I would have kept on streaming, that I could be like a 10,000 plus viewer streamer. And if I'm doing that, that makes things easier also on the business end with F2K.
Okay.
Because obviously you reach a lot of people and there's a lot of context already that in place that would have given me a boost, right?
Absolutely.
So like, and there's one more thing, like maybe I would have told myself to not try to build the business up so slow and organically, but maybe at some point, like look for investment earlier.
Okay.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier that it's almost impossible to get into this industry, but there's going to be people who try, right? Because every day someone's trying to start a new business. What advice would you have for someone who maybe would want to follow in your footsteps and create their own team through Twitch or Mixer or Facebook, YouTube, wherever?
Find a partner that's a billionaire.
just VC back it, just all the way, just throw money at it.
You have to. Like, don't try it out. I mean, I've known so many people who are really hardworking, nice guys who tried their own teams, starting their own teams like 1 year ago. It's too late. Like, you just can't anymore. I mean, obviously, I think the only way to found a team right now is sort of to pour like a lot of money into it. That's like the only way to do it.
Okay. In what regards? Just to pay for the streamers or for advertising?
Just to build your business. I mean, like the one thing that will happen if you build like a small team from the ground up with like very little budget is that at a certain point, like your players, like if they play, or your streamers, if they stream, they grow to a point where they become attractive to like the bigger brands, and they will just take them away from you, and you go back to square one, right? And that happens over and over again until you stop. so like that happened the first time when I actually founded a small team before, and like we just had a Hearthstone team, and the team became the best team in the world. It was very successful, and within 5 days after that, like every player was signed with like a bigger team.
Oh man,
yes.
What loyalty, right?
It's not about loyalty. I mean, you don't want to hold people back as well. I mean,
of course.
Yeah, like I mean, like I think those people were all good people, but like it's just the way it goes, right? If you like, I mean, because people were trying to make it their job, and if someone offers you like a salary for like, the job you're doing, and before you're doing it without a salary, obviously you're taking it, right?
Certainly. Okay, so where do you see F2K in the next 5 years?
Well, I want to become one of the biggest teams on Twitch, like have the biggest megaphone, because I mean, like for me, the reason why I started is a bit different than for most people. So like I'm not in it for like the money or like just building a business and stuff. Like for me, it actually had like different roots. So I mean, I have to go back a bit. So like when I was 18, I basically had to decide, like, okay, so what are you gonna do with your life? Like what's going on? And I thought, like, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like making money and all is great and stuff, but I mean, the one thing that actually matters to me is to be happy and to leave like a good footprint on the earth, like in terms of like doing good things, right? That's important. So I figured, this is smart, and I was like, oh, wait a second, right? If you become a teacher, I mean, you can't really, I mean, you can, but like it's very hard to leave it yourself. But I mean, I don't know what the exact numbers of students that go through as a teacher in your lifetime as a teacher, but it's probably in like tens of thousands. And statistically, across along those people, there will be like 5 to 25 very gifted people. And if you can nudge them into the right direction and help them to do their thing, I mean, you can have a way bigger impact on like having a good footprint. Like it's just amplifying your own ambitions and like your own willingness to change things. And yeah, I mean, then the system was changing a bit, and I really didn't see it any more possible really as a teacher. And then like when we got to F2K and we had all those streamers, and we saw like, oh wait, I mean, like there are like thousands of people watching them, right? And I talk to them on a regular basis. I mean, we obviously like have like certain talks about certain stuff in life, outlook, and like how things should be going, like how to be a positive role model, all that jazz. And I thought to myself, oh wait a second. So now I can work with like 100 people, gifted people, who have like thousands of followers each, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's a megaphone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and I mean, you see certain things that you don't see publicly, which are just like the most insane thing in the world. Like I mean, you know how often like one of my streamers gets a message by someone who was like, "Hey, I had a really hard time. I even thought about suicide, but I watched your stream and you like your stream kind of pulled me through it and stuff." And like, and now I recently got engaged, and you get the idea, right? Like those kind of storylines. I mean, that's what makes me personally tick. And if you can build a good business around that, like to give people who are talented a platform that they can grow on. That's just, it's just like you can pay for that stuff. It's just insane. Like I mean, so like I mean, we picked a lot of people who have like thousands of viewers now who we picked up when they had 30. So like we basically guided them across their entire journey to get there, right?
Sure.
And I mean, those people are all still around, and it's like insane to watch them and watch the impact they have.
That is absolutely wonderful. That a great ambition. So, kind of on a related note, where do you think the esports or gaming industry is going to be in the next 5 years?
Well, I think that like viewership will steadily rise. I mean, like I honestly think that like the esports industry and the whole model of the franchising and stuff, I think there is going to be a market correction about that. I don't think that's a sustainable model. So we will see like I'm not sure how esports is going to look in 5 years, but I don't think it will look like what it looks now. It should be different. I mean, in terms of content and gaming watch time, you have like Twitch is obviously the biggest streaming platform in the world, but like since of this year, I mean, as you probably read in the news, like Mixer, Facebook Live, YouTube Gaming, they're all making their own moves, spending a lot of money to build their market share. So I mean, like I think like the next 5 years for the gaming entertainment industry will be marked by the battle of the giants between like, I mean, 4 of the biggest companies in the world, right? So
certainly, that means that's great opportunity for you and your team.
I mean, it is and it isn't, in my opinion. I think this is like the best time if you're an agent of a streamer. I think then it's like the best time in the world right now because there are like deals that are being done which are like insane, right? But like for us, I mean, for us, we are Twitch partnered as a team. So like we are like on one side of the fence. So like we don't have any Mixer or YouTube streamers. So I mean, we kind of chose our team for now, if that makes sense. And we're gonna see how things develop. Like it just becomes like very interesting if suddenly your business model gets outside factors coming into it. But like no, I mean, so far like everything seems fine. It's still a great time because the more money gets put into the space, obviously there's more opportunity, right? But like it also creates like this like how do I put this? Like the equality of things gets shifted. So because like usually like it doesn't matter what industry it is. If money gets put in, it usually gets put into one place more than overall into the overall ecosystem. So, and like every ecosystem, like if there are more carnivores, like things like tip over and things get weird, right? You get the idea. Like, and I mean, if you look at esports and gaming right now, what's been happening is, I mean, if you're an investor and you like esports, you want to invest into the space. So where do you invest? I mean, obviously you can buy like Blizzard shares or like Riot shares, but I mean, that's not really it, right?
Right.
That's not really it. So there are players. I mean, I guess technically you could, but I mean, like buying equity in a player is kind of weird, right? So like, can't really go there. So tournament organizers, I mean, those are already funded. They have like their owners. So like, that's an out. So like, all the money right now that gets put into the space, for the most part, gets put into two places: technology and teams.
Okay.
Right. So what happens with technology, and you have seen this hundreds of times, right? Like you've seen this with like Facebook when there was Bebo around and like other companies and like MySpace, right? So like in technology, there's usually only one winner. That's the thing, right? There's one winner. So like there are like a lot of companies, a lot of money gets put into space, but in the end there's only one winner, and everyone else kind of gets like stranded. And yeah, with teams, the issue is basically that like those teams get a lot of money, and obviously like if you're like an esports team, like let's say you're a Counter-Strike esports team, your goal is obviously to have the best team in the world, the best players, right?
Right.
Right. So if everyone gets a lot of money and you want to have the best team in the world, that trickles down to the players, right? Because like you just try to entice the players more to play for you, so you pay them more money.
Certainly.
So if all investment just goes into the teams and they pay the players, but like the teams that don't make enough money from the tournament organizers or from the advertisers or from the publishers, that creates this inequality, which is like not a sustainable business model.
Okay.
So what happens over time is simply that like the market needs to correct at some point, because the ecosystem is not longer sustainable, right?
Yes, very interesting. So do you think there's a solution?
Yes, of course. I mean, like what we are doing. I mean, like we are staying out of this stuff because I don't think it's sustainable. So, like I think the content is what's going to be king in the future. It is already king, but it will be more king in the future because with content you can tell people, like, or advertisers, sponsors, they know what they're going to get. So if you're an esports player and they say like, hey, I want to sponsor your team, I want to jersey sponsor your team, right? And then they ask you questions like, so how many impressions will I get? And you go like, yeah, I don't know. Depends how far the team goes in the tournament. Depends on the camera angle when the cameramen are filming our team. And the overall viewership, I have no idea. I mean, that's like shifting all over the place. Depends what other tournaments are happening at the same time. So like it becomes a very muddy situation of like you're asking for something, but you don't know how much value you can give in return, right?
Right.
And also like a jersey sponsor is not as personalized as like a streamer having it on their banner and then actually using the product on stream or shouting it out. It's like a very, very different thing. So like the focus on content was serving like, I mean, there's certain esports things that make sense. Having people that like produce content but also play tournaments is a great model. I mean, that's what we've been using for like the past 5 years. It's insane. Like a player goes, wins a tournament, he's happy, he gets exposure, and he uses that exposure to build a stream. I mean, if he doesn't stream, like that exposure just like almost like vanishes, right?
Sure.
So like you have to build this like triangle of certain things. So you have your content, you have your socials, and if you're a tournament player, you have your tournaments, and those things should all go into each other, right? So like with your stream, you should promote your socials. With your socials, you should promote your tournaments that you're playing. Tournaments got played, well, I'll make a social post about it and go live stream, right?
Okay.
To like catch all these people to grow my presence and my footprint as a player, like very important.
Wonderful.
So like I mean you asked about the solution, right? I mean the solution is simply to do good business, focus on content, focus on the entertainment, and then do as much esports as esports makes sense. I mean, just don't do things because they are hype, but do things because they make sense. And that's what we are doing over here at F2K.
Fantastic. Now I got one more question. I want to talk about kind of you as a person, but before we get there, you're discussing your players and how you've had some of them grow from 30 to thousands of viewers.
Yes.
What is the trick to do that? Because I mean, there's millions of people on Twitch alone, and some of them have, starting at that 30-person or lower spot. What's the trick to get bigger?
So there are multiple factors. I mean, for us, like, one part for us was obviously that we scouted people who we thought had talent. I mean, not anyone can be a 10,000 viewer streamer, right? Not everyone, because there are certain. I mean, like, I had people who were really, really good players in their game, but they didn't have a stream persona. Like, they weren't interesting to watch.
Okay.
So, like, some people watched them because they enjoyed it, but like, like, I mean, it's the same thing as you ask. It's like, why is not every comedian growing and getting more ticket sales, right? It's the same thing, right? Or like any actor, because some people like just enjoy watching them more. And that was the one part. The other part is obviously you need to position yourself correctly, right? So like, if you have content that's good, I mean, that's there, but no one sees it, then you're not going to grow, right? So you have to position yourself in certain ways. And like, a team structure helps with that a lot, because obviously, like, in a team you have like-minded people. You can host each other. You can make shout-outs about each other. You can just work together to grow the overall brand as well, right?
Right.
And yeah, like, I mean, for example, like, we also guide people, like, if you're very small, what makes sense, for example, like, if you're good, right, is to write like certain like guides on like Reddit, and just like be like, hey, also like, if you like this guide, like, I'm also live streaming on Twitch, yada. I mean, you have to be careful with like self advertising, but I mean, like, just in general, like, you have to like find your niche. So like, for some people, they might just be in the wrong game. And one mistake a lot of people do is like, they try to become variety streamers.
Right.
Because that is very hard. It's very hard. Like, most variety streamers you see these days, and I'm not saying most, there's some exceptions, but most, they started off in a single game, became very, very big. The audience got more attached to them as a person than the game, and then they move games, and then they move games again, and then they become a variety streamer, right? Okay. Because like, if I just start streaming League of Legends today, I will have literally 0 viewers, because no one cares about me playing League of Legends. I will not be discovered, right? That's important. I will not be discovered, and that's not going to help me. Like, like, also people, like, they often do this mistake of like switching to new games when they come out, which can make sense if you really, really love the game and stuff. I'm not going to say like do something you hate just because of money, yada yada. But you have to expect that, like, if a new game comes out, those people who carry over the biggest audience with them, they're gonna catch most of the drift of the new game once it gets more hype, right?
Okay. So you're saying you got to build the audience first before you want to do the switching around to different games.
Yes, I mean, it's how it works. It's just like, focus on becoming a doctor first in general before you specialize on anything, right? Or like, just go around and do stuff. I mean, it's always good to just like be good at something and have people appreciate you for it. But like, don't just try to be an orthopedist and a dermatologist at the same time. Just don't try it at start. Only like later, if you're very famous, you can do that, right?
Okay. All right. So you've told me all about your fantastic success. You've built this wonderful company. It sounds like everything's going fantastic for you. Is it okay if I humble you for a second, though?
I mean, go ahead, please.
Okay. So part of my mission here is to show gamers that not everybody is a raging success right out the gate. So most people have a lot of failures. And I want to know, what's something that you have failed at, not necessarily in gaming or in F2K, but kind of just in general?
I mean, there are too many things to list. So like, actually my screen is back. Okay, my screen just turned off for a second. Sorry. Like, one thing that I failed. I mean, like, obviously you take wrong turns, right? So for example, like, for us, at one point in time, we actually decided with F2K to do a content website for like written card game content. We put a lot of money into it. We had a lot of development going on. It was a very, very big project. And at that time, like, there was another company who just had better technology that they implemented and used to gather their viewers and their stuff.
Mhm.
At some point, we just sat down. We were like, no, let's get out of here. I mean, like don't have the fear of loss, right? I mean, or like if you invested into something, or like I don't know what the exact term for it is. It's like if you already invested into something that you just go through it, even if it doesn't make sense anymore.
Sure.
Yeah. So like, yeah, don't do that. Like if something like every single day in your life, sit down, look at the things you're doing, and it doesn't need to be business-wise. It can also be personal, right? And you look and you go like, okay, with all the information that I have at this point in time, does me doing A, B, C, D still make sense? And that's the best you can do as a human being. Like, I mean, like no one knows what's going to happen, but you can always, at any certain point in time, only make the decision that is the best decision in your mind with the information you have at that given point in time.
Okay.
That's very important. Like I'm a very analytical person. I'm not like for example, like when I was still playing as a pro player, right? This is important.
Mhm.
It's like we had players who were like we discussed the games and how people played after the game. And one of our teammates had a game, and well, me and our teammate, we thought that he played it very poorly. And his response was, "I mean, I don't think so. I won."
Oh, there you go.
And I mean, that's like the opposite of my mindset, right? Like if you win or lose, I mean, there are certain people who had very much success in business despite doing it very poorly. That happens.
That's right. Happens a lot.
There are people who have like no success in business despite doing a lot of things right. That happens a lot. The one thing you can do is optimize your chance of having success by doing things right most of the time.
Okay.
So like you should always focus on the process, not the end result. That's important.
All right. Now, kind of a related question. What's something that you're currently not good at? Because you're not Superman, you can't handle everything. What's something you're not good at?
Yeah, like I mean, there are like certain things. That's an interesting question. What am I not good at? So in terms of business or in general?
Whichever you want to talk about.
I mean, like if I'm talking about both, like I mean, in general, one thing for me that's very hard is to actually so like look, you have certain pillars in your life, right? You same as me. So like you have your work, you have your family, you have your significant other if you have one, you have your friends, you have your hobbies and stuff, right? You have like those 5 pillars.
Right.
Obviously, you can also argue spiritual, yada yada yada. But like, let's take those 5 for now. And at any given point in time, some of them are gonna get better, some of them are gonna get worse, right? They're always gonna. But like in the end, you always want to have them at like a very good sustainable level. And for me right now, like this work is so taxing. Like I think I'm like neglecting the other parts a bit.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So you're having
So like
the work-life balance.
Yeah, I mean like it's also like maybe a thing where just like I mean certain things are more important at certain points in time, right?
Right.
So like if your mom's in the hospital, like you shouldn't worry about playing football on the weekend. Doesn't matter, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
that doesn't matter. But yeah, like I mean that's like something that's like I'm not good at like managing these, and like sometimes I'm going overboard on one or the other. So like that's like I mean like work is always high, but like that's the thing. But like yeah, I mean I wish I would be better to it would be easier to shut off sometimes. Like I mean I think you need downtime where you're like basically disconnected and unplugged.
Okay.
So like if I'm out like having dinner with my girlfriend and like I'm still thinking about work, right? Like just you know what I'm saying? Like it's just
I
like
get it. I never stop. Like never.
no, and I don't think that's healthy.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
at that point because at that point in time you could be more focused on her and the actual experience, but like you're somewhere else sometimes, right? I mean obviously it happens to everyone, but like being more mindful, more aware in the moment. I mean I meditate, right? So like I try to get there, but it's still hard. So that's one thing I'm not good at. And business wise, I mean like the thing that I am not great at, because like I mean for us right now, like F2K, we're right now, we're in a position where I think it makes sense to get investment in the company, right? So like that makes sense right now.
Mhm.
And because it just needed to bridge a certain gap to get somewhere and develop the business in the right way, because we need like better staff in certain areas, or like actual staff in certain areas that we don't that we're just filling like with left and right now. So, and that will take us to the very, very next level and increase our megaphone and our company values. So like I don't think I'm good at fundraising. I don't think I'm good at fundraising in general. So like that's one thing I think that I'm not good at, and I'm trying to improve on it all the time. But like I don't think I'm best at it. If that makes sense.
Sure. And I'll give you some advice on that. That's just networking. All you got
Yeah, of course it's networking.
LinkedIn and just start reaching out to people.
Yeah, of course it's networking. Of course, but I mean, like the way my brain works is like I like to build business. Like people tell me I'm good with people, but I honestly think that I'm slightly autistic. so like I could spend all day in a spreadsheet, right? Instantly. I could do that all day, and figuring out problems, solving them, and stuff like that. So like yeah, I mean obviously I have a big network now after those 5 years and stuff, right? But like I'm not that kind of person that just travels around to every convention and just shakes hands and stuff. I mean, like I would much rather like build the business, improve the business, right?
Certainly. In that case, you need a partner who do that for you.
Maybe.
Yeah, you got to manage your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths, manage your weaknesses.
Exactly.
All right. So this has been absolutely a fantastic interview, Tim. Normally I'm a little more engaged, but I was just soaking it up. Like you were just.
Sorry if I talk too much.
No, I really do appreciate it. So how do people find you? Where are you out on social media? What's your handle?
Oh, I mean, I'm not really using social media that much. I mean, you can still find me on Twitter, which is like F2K_theude, like THEUDE.
Okay.
And in general, like, I mean, like, if someone is interested in what we're doing, like, please follow F2K more than me, right? Like, it's at Fate2Kama on Twitter and F2K Gaming on Instagram, and yeah, I mean, we also have a YouTube channel and stuff. But you will find everything from the Twitter, so like that's gonna get you there.
Fantastic. Okay. So as we wrap up, is there anything else that you think we need to talk about we didn't discuss?
I mean, do you have any further questions and stuff?
You've gotten through my entire list here, so I think we're good.
Okay. No, I mean, like, just for everyone that's like listening, like, think about what you're doing, and if it's gonna make you happy. Because I mean, like, I have friends that work in finance. They're working on the stock market. They make a lot of money, but like they're not happy. Like, I mean, that's just my first take on it. Like, the one person that I really admire is like an old philosopher who, like, not old, but like, I mean, he died. Like, I'm familiar with Alan Watts.
Okay.
So he used to teach at Harvard and stuff, and like he said that, like, if you're looking to, because like the whole premise of this talk was to find people who wanted to enter the space and to find like out what they're supposed to do with their life, right? As well. Right. So, like, the one thing that stuck with me that Alan Watts once said is that, like, you should always do what you really love, what you desire. I mean, I know a lot of people always say that to you, but like, don't just do it, but you have to like completely get into it, grind it, become the best at it, become like one of the best at it. Because like everybody in the world is interested in something, right? Sure. I mean, like there are people out there who like to collect or who would like surfing. Doesn't matter what it is. Like, let's say it's surfing, right? Like even if you're collecting like empty water bottles, like someone will enjoy that, right? Like for everything in the world, there is someone who enjoys it.
Yeah.
And if you do something and your whole heart is in it, right? Your whole heart is in it, like you will become a master at it, because you will become good at it, because you actually care. Like if you don't care about anything, you will become good, but you will not become a master. Like you can only become a master at something if you really love the thing you're doing. And if you become a master at something, like usually you will also get paid for it, and you can make a living off it. Absolutely. Doesn't matter what it is.
That is fantastic advice. And it only takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something. So, spend 100 hours a week. It only takes like 2 years to do it.
And I mean, like, look at it. Like, that doesn't matter what you're doing, but if you find 500 people in the world, and like they're talking, like, this is not like the 19th century where it'll be like very like you can reach a person in India. Like, I mean, I don't know this podcast, I don't know your demographic, but people from Southeast Asia are watching. Like, it's all around the world. You have the entire world is your playground. And if you find 500 people who really like what you're doing and support you, that's enough to support you for a lifetime.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's how it works.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tim. Tim, this is a wonderful interview. I'm really looking forward to putting this one out.
Thank you.
All right. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you again. And gamerpreneurs, you take note, go back and rewatch this one because he just unloads so much knowledge on you. All right, everybody, you take it easy. Hey, if you like this podcast, I'd love to invite you to check out a little bit more about me, Dr. Bradford Carlton, Gamerpreneur. If you go to my website, www.thegamerpreneur.com/bonus, I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, The Warcraft of Business, where I explain my history in both gaming and business and how I brought the two together in order to create some very successful companies and help a lot of people. And all you got to do is pay for shipping and processing, and I'll send you this book. I absolutely know you're going to love it. All right, you all take it easy.